Litchfield, and welcome to the June 22nd, 2016 school board meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a few revisions to the agenda. Dr. Heon could not make it this evening, so anything for the curriculum, we're going to push off to our July meeting. And also, there are several things on here for CHS. There are a couple of the retake draft, several things. So anything pertaining to CHS, we're also going to push off until our new principal, Bill Lonigan, can attend the meeting at the next meeting. Phil, you will do your presentation still, though, while you're here. It's just the other items that are on there for CHS and for curriculum, we'll just move to the next one when both Dr. Heon will be here and our new principal. So, summary of non-public from June 8, 2016. Non-public minutes of June 8, 2016 were sealed by the school board. Sorry, what were you going to be doing, Phil?
Retake.
The retake. So that's what's up next. So if you'd like to talk about the CHS retake draft, we can have this discussion.
Sure.
Or the presentation of it, and
Sure. Come up.
yeah, sit right here if you'd like.
I get to be Janine.
Yeah, you can be Janine. Janine will not be attending the meeting tonight, by the way. She said she would not
Good
be
evening,
able to-
everybody.
Good evening, Phil.
Just in case that anybody knew, I'm Phil Martin. I'm a music teacher here at Campbell High School. So, in the year 2009, I want to think we, under the encouragement of Principal Bob Manso at the time, we needed to establish, or he felt, and he was right, we wanted to establish a retake policy. In a competency-based school, actually in a competency-based society, there is no real, you can't say to a lawyer, I'm sorry, you flunked the bar, you never can be a lawyer. You didn't pass your driver's test, you can never drive for the rest of your life. We just felt if in a truly competency-based school, students needed to have a chance, not so much to competency recover, that's a different conversation, I think, but if it was a summative exam, if it was an exam that was directly tied to one of the competencies, and for whatever reason, they bombed it, there needed to be a way of going back and revisiting that. So in 2009, after a lot of discussion, in fact, I was on the leadership team at the time, a lot of conversation between departments, we crafted the language that's currently in the student handbook. And while it was great language in 2009, we just felt this year in particular, it made a lot of sense to us in 2009, but 7 years later, maybe it was time to go back, not change it a whole lot, but just make it clearer. We just felt it was, if I was a parent coming in and looking at this, or if I was a new student coming into Campbell, and I understood there was this concept of retakes, we just didn't think it was clear. So in essence, we pulled together, we had a lengthy conversation about it, excuse me, at a faculty meeting, one of our November late arrival days. Took in a lot of information. At that point, I volunteered to head a committee to sit down and look at it, partly because I had some of the history. I'd been in on some of those early conversations. I didn't want to necessarily drive the bus in the conversations, but I would be glad to head that committee. And the committee ended up being a really good mix. That we had somebody from each department, and we were able to take the time we need. We pulled in all the suggestions we got. We kind of started recrafting a new retake policy. We sent it back out to the faculty. We had another meeting where people could input. We kind of edited a little bit more with input, and then we finally sent it out a third time and took a vote, basically, of the faculty. The response was overwhelming, 80%. I think I have a graph over there on my chair. 80% of the faculty approved it, took it through the leadership team. They were fine with it. So there aren't any, as I say, there aren't any really big changes. It's just that we wanted to clear it up. Retakes are available for a minimum of one summative assessment per competency. So if I have a competency in music and it's evaluate, and somebody just really has problems with that, they can come back to me and say, may I retake that summative assignment in evaluating music? And the answer is yes. How do they do that? Well, they have to do it within 3 days of that grade being posted. So it ties in a little bit of student responsibility. And now, especially with Infinite Campus, which makes that a lot easier because it's instant access 24/7, they can take ownership of that. Retakes will occur within 10 days. You can read that after the grade is posted. At the conclusion, the higher grade will stand. I will just say that was an interesting debate because there was a lot of conversation about, well, I'm going to average the 2 grades. Well, I'm going to take, they're only going to be maxed out at an 80%. And we had to look at the latest, research and studying, again, of competency-based schools. And I kept coming back. You go back to get your driver's license. You failed it the first time and the second time. They don't give you a partial driver's license. They're not going to average, say you can only drive on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and the roads have to be clear. You either have it or not. And so, and again, that wasn't meant to let the student have an easier path. It just kind of reflected reality. So in the end, the faculty did go with that. The higher grade will stand. Eligibility is based on completion of formative assessments. So if I had 5 or 6 things leading up to that summative, we're not even going to talk about the retake of the summative until you've done the formatives. It's not, again, I just slept in late and didn't really want to take the test. Well, have you done all the previous assignments? Yes or no? Will not duplicate the original assessment. Yeah, here's the test, take it again. No, we didn't want that. Certain assessments, such as labs or performances, may not be eligible. That actually was not my language. Everybody thinks, oh, you're the music guy. But there are just some things that you can't recreate. You might come up with an alternative, but you just can't, you have to look at that. And then this one we felt was important. We wanted to avoid that end of the semester crunch. What can I do to get my grade up? So students will not be allowed in any courses during the 5 days prior to the week of exams, so the week before exams, to come in and say, I'd like to take a retake. Again, they should be monitoring. They should be responsible for their own grades, at least in case of the high school, maybe the elementary school. Mom or dad has to step in, but it's a lot easier now than it used to be under Grade Quick, where those grades didn't get posted. Sometimes it would be up to 2 weeks, over 2 weeks.
What happens if a grade is posted within that 5 days? They only have 3 days after the grade is posted.
They have 3 days to come and request.
After the grade is posted.
Posted, right.
So how if the grade is posted during that 5 days?
The 5 days before the exams are done, then I think the teacher would look at that. And we asked about that. I don't think a teacher is going to be unreasonable. It does put a little pressure on teachers too. As you're getting into those 5 days before finals, you should be really focusing on the finals. So you shouldn't be pulling in a lot of grades. If there are just some grades you haven't gotten to, then that's a conversation you probably want to have. So the student is responsible for initiating the retake, and the student does have to have a plan. I'm going to come back and retake the test, Mr. Martin, next Tuesday. And then we are going to ask each department to include the specifics of their retake policy. In other words, this retake policy will serve as the framework, the outer work. And that if each department has individual needs, requirements that are unique to their department, that needs to be posted right at day one, right in the syllabus. So every parent, every student knows what those requirements are. But their policies cannot run counter to this. They cannot turn around and say, well, never mind, I'm just going to average your 2 math grades on this test. No, you can't. You're going to take their higher grade. But we all have to know what your requirements are when the students walk in day one. So put that in the handbook, or not in the handbook, my error. Put that in your syllabus, put it online. Make those, we don't want any punches coming out of nowhere. We're not here to punish. And that was kind of our thought.
Quick question. It says available for a minimum of 1. What's a minimum? It's not a maximum.
Minimum. Right, that's key. There's a difference there. If I decide within my particular department in a particular course, let's say I'm running music theory, which is an honors level course, and I decide I want to allow more than one retake on a summative, I have that. I have that right as a teacher, and again, that'll go in my syllabus. But vice versa, I have to allow at least one.
I read that wrong the first time. I guess that changed my question.
Okay.
How does this prevent? And I know that we're talking real world and stuff like that, but does this allow the students to basically take the test, understand exactly what's on the test, and then just cram specifically, like to basically teach themselves to the test,
So there's a couple of
and then
ways.
get A's because they get the higher grade every time?
Right, there's a couple of ways to look at that. One of the ways is, first of all, did they fail a particular section of the test? Was it chunked out in such a way that they did really, really well here and really struggled poorly here? Okay, well then you as the teacher have the right to go back and maybe just retest them on that part. You're still not going to give them the same test. You're not going to allow them to memorize the answer key. You're not going to allow them to do all that. But it is a kind of a start of a conversation. You know, we've heard, you hear the kids say, hey, I'll just come in late, you've already gone and taken the test, I'll see you at lunch, you tell me everything that's on the test. Well, then, in that case, first of all, you've missed the test, okay? So you were absent. Depending on the reason you were absent, you either are eligible or ineligible to retake the test, and that's a piece of it. And then the other responsibility is the teacher is gonna come up with a different test. So I may be asking the same material, but I may handle it in a totally different way. Because the bottom line is, it's not about the test score, it's about, we want to know what you know, how well you know it, and did I teach it to you, in a way that was clear to you.
Yeah, and I guess I 100% agree with that. Like, because you want to be able to test that the students master the competency in the material.
Correct.
But does this? I guess it depends department to department. But does this allow them to? Does this allow you to make sure that each student is mastering the material, or is it allowing basically the students to memorize what's on the test and regurgitate it back?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's the former, and that's the key to competency based. That's been the hard part. We've spent so many years in education directing students to try to get grades, and we no longer should be doing that. I need to know if you're taking my AP math class, I need to know what you know.
Well, I guess in that same spirit, what can we do to move from hoping to ensuring?
It's a cultural shift a little bit. It's a lengthy, deep conversation. Part of it's just a philosophy, and without sounding like the '70s pass-fail guys, that were around, at least when I was in college, it's a complete shift on, again, stressing the importance of, you need to know this, and I'm here to do everything I can. To quote my friend Sean McDonough, I'm going to do everything I can to help you cross the finish line, but I'm not going to drag you. So I need you to demonstrate to me in some meaningful way that you've got this material. Otherwise, we're all losing out. There's no point in me standing up and blah blah blah, and you just regurgitating. And I think that's why I've always liked that about the retake policies. We all. Some days just it doesn't click, but I don't want to encourage or get that child to get into the mentality of I'll just wait it out. I'm not gonna. If I just wait, if I wait that teacher out, by God, they're gonna. I'll win. I don't want it to come across like that.
Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next, we have the acceptance of a donation from the Audubon Society of New Hampshire, which will be used by the ecology class. And it looks like the number one reason what they'll use the money for is raise awareness of endangered species and threats to healthy ecosystems, habitat restoration, tracking, and not sure what else that says.
Reporting on something.
Reporting on. So the Ecology Club will use that donation of $750 from the Audubon Society of New Hampshire.
Is there a stipend or anything that would be associated to this club?
Say that again, please.
Is there a stipend? I'm assuming this club is going to have an advisor. Is there a stipend or anything you have to worry about?
There would be, and this is not a co-curricular club that is listed in the CBA,
Okay.
so it will require us to accept the donation contingent upon the ecology club being a component of the CBA, and then there would be a stipend as per other clubs. I couldn't tell you exactly what that would be, but there would be a stipend involved in this. The amount, I don't know. As a biologist and somewhat of a wannabe ecologist, I certainly think it's a very good club to have. I think it's fabulous for our kids to have more awareness of what's going on around them, ecosystems and habitats and all of those things. So I am certainly 100% in favor of the ecology club. There's a few organizational pieces that have to be put in place.
I make a motion to accept the donation.
Second?
Do we want to accept it with provisions?
Provided that
Yeah, I mean-
the club is established and...
I think that's the only one I need. It actually states, will there be a continuing cost? Zero. So maybe I misspoke. Maybe this is something we're going to do after school without any stipend, but just as the right thing to do.
That's easy.
If that's.
And I
the case.
think, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think normally the principal had, there's a whole bunch of stipend positions, but the principal had the authority to move them around. So if there was less interest in chess club, they could move the stipend to
Yeah. I think it's more
ecology club.
just an informal communication with the union, the association, just let them know we're doing this, and I don't think there's any issue with it. I think it's just
Right.
the communication piece.
Again, we're accepting the check, not necessarily accepting the position.
Yep.
So we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor of accepting the donation from the Audubon Society of New Hampshire for $750, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Very good. Next item on the agenda, I think we'll push off also, is the acceptance of the class of 2016 gift. That's one of the things that we can discuss with the new principal, Larnigan. One of the concerns is the fact that the gift is the letters only. There's nothing else entailed.
Is it
so-
just CHS? What is that?
That's just
Campbell
Cable
High
High
School.
School.
Okay.
Big block white letters to the right of the entrance of the building. We'd have to do is look into what the cost is to apply those to the building. I don't think they're just gonna go up with sticky glue.
Oh, I didn't see the picture.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
But it's just for the letters themselves.
And I will say, Mr. Chair, this is the first time I'm seeing this, so
Yeah.
I know we've dealt with a local company, and it appears that they've just gone on a website and
Found
crossed
letters.
out for the letters. And I'm sure maybe if our Director of Facilities were to work with, it would just take a couple of phone calls, I think, to a local
Yeah.
vendor to cost out the lettering. That would include installation. I would not
Yeah, so I
be
think with that,
concerned.
before we accept, I think we should gain a little bit more information of
Sure.
what's entailed to it.
Sure, we can do that.
Otherwise, we'll have to get a shed to put the letters in until we can do something with them.
We can Gorilla, we can get the double-sided tape and just put them on.
That's what I'm saying, I think it takes a little bit more than tape to hold those
Yeah,
things
and
up.
it is a process, and I'd be concerned that we had the capability.
So again, I think we can push that off until we get some more information.
Yep.
So that'll bring us,
You aware of that? It's a good thing.
The other side is
The other side is,
the announcement.
I haven't seen this. It's not in here, though.
yeah.
It was?
Is it in there? Did I put it in there? I don't think I did.
You didn't put it in. My apologies then. We can do it at the next meeting.
No, we can still bring it up. We'll do it right after correspondence. Do we have any correspondence, Doug?
I don't think so.
Derek, concern? I
No.
don't think so, right? All right. So approval of draft minutes from 6/8/15.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? 400. Bring us to community forum. Hearing none. Superintendent's comments?
The only thing, no, I don't really, I guess the comments I would make is, as everybody's observed, the end of school was really, really, really great. All kinds of celebrations. I managed to get to a number of them, and nothing but accolades to students, teachers, parents, administration. Very well done, and I just really pleasure to be part of it. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Excellent.
And I don't know whether I'm supposed to talk about the International Student Acceptance Form.
So, I'm going to skip back up as far as recognition, because I was just handed the Scouts leaders and members of the committee for Boy Scout Troop Number 11 take great pleasure in announcing that, having completed the requirements for and having been examined by an Eagle Scout board, a review, Cameron Lee Schmidt was found worthy of the rank of Eagle Scout on March 23rd, 2016. We would appreciate a letter of certification, acknowledgement of achievement, and commemorating this special occasion. Thanks for taking the time for your extremely busy schedule to help our community recognize the achievements of service of Eagle Scout Cameron Lee Schmidt. Sincerely, Keith and Susie, Boy Scout Troop 11. So,
This is a letter
congratulations.
for you to sign.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Yeah, quite an accomplishment.
All right. That'll bring us to school board comments. Any, none?
Would you want me to do this international student acceptance piece?
I thought you didn't have something. Or do you have something?
I do.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I thought you said you didn't know what you were supposed to talk about on that.
Oh, no, I do.
Okay, I
I
apologize.
probably mumbled to you.
No, go right ahead.
We have a request for a Vera Cranswell to be a student. She's Netherlands nationality, and she would be coming into Campbell High School for the fall semester next year. And this is under, we have a memorandum of understanding with the STS Foundation that was entered into in 2014, and it would cover this specific student or other students. And so what I need is for the board to give me the approval to go forward with accepting this student into Campbell High School. I believe it is a non-tuition-based entrance that we have accepted in 2014 as a good thing in a memorandum of understanding. So again, it's Vera Cransveld, Netherlands, and she has a host family, and she would be coming in here for the fall. This was brought to my attention by Jody, and it just came to my attention, I believe, the end of last week, and so I bring it to you without a lot of notice in advance. But we would like to get this done so we can get the information to the student so that the host family and student can make plans.
Is this the organization that presented a month or so ago?
No, this is a different organization. This is the, you actually entered into memorandum of understanding for the implementation of international fee-pay student programs. I be honest with you, I just got this piece tonight, and I don't believe, I will double-check it, but you'd entered into this in 20 June 2014, and there is a memorandum of understanding between Litchfield School District and Blue River Creative Service School. I don't believe is that the same thing?
No, the other one was the
It's American.
international.
American International or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the one where that was the one where they pay us. This is part of the company we typically get exchange students from, I think.
Right.
I know, like, Mr. York used to host them every year, so
Yep.
it's probably the same group. Do we generally just have one per year, or?
I'm not aware that we had any this year. I did not think we had any this year.
We generally have at least one, right?
We usually get one, sometimes two or three.
I think it's a fabulous opportunity when we can get exchange students, or when one of our students can participate in exchange programs. And
No, I just wanted to make certain it wasn't the organization. that-
no, it was not.
Okay.
Do you need a motion to accept, or is it just to let us know?
I think as long as the board gives me go-ahead with this, that I think we're fine with that. I just want to make sure you understand that it is an exception to your policy. And I just want to make sure the board has no concerns about that exception, in that this is an exchange student that would be coming into Campbell without any tuition involved at this point in time, to my knowledge. So that's what I want to make sure, and I certainly fully encourage us to accept this student.
Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So go back to school board comments. I'll just start, because I'll just echo as what Superintendent O'Neill said. I had the privilege of attending all three schools' graduations, and I just want to say that, once again, I think each school did a fabulous job as far as the evenings and the afternoon. They all went very well, and the accolades for the students. It's pretty neat to see the amount of students that reach the high levels and represent Litchfield in the capacity that they do.
Just, if I could, I want to, I mean, I've heard a lot of student speeches at graduation, and I thought that the essayist's speech and your valedictorian speech were very, very well done. I think they were very different, but I thought they were both very powerful. The essayist's speech was extremely well delivered, very well developed, and it had both the rational approach and a tug-at-the-heart emotional approach, and I was very impressed by her. And the valedictorian speech was very creative and really wove a very interesting story, I thought, and I give accolades to both students. And as the chair has said, to listen to all of the, I mean, West Point we're all aware of, and then, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, two students going to, where is it down? Kentucky. Two students going to the University of Kentucky, students going to Florida, students going to, I believe, Alabama, and then students going to, was it Princeton, I believe? And it was just quite a testament to the work of the district as a whole and to the work of Campbell High School for these students. So it was really very impressive. I just had to build a little bit more on that. I
Yeah.
hope you don't mind.
Well, then I'll add on to it also.
Very good.
We'll give a little congrats to Chip, who did an excellent job as a guest speaker.
Yes, he did.
Um,
Yes, he did.
He started off, and I go, not quite sure where he was going, because I don't really know him, but he's like all over the place, and obviously the kids loved him. And he had a couple of good one-liners in there, too, so.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Yeah.
Chip being all over the place is the accepted behavior of Chip. And he would say the same if he was sitting here.
Yeah, and he did a very, very good job.
Yeah, he did a great job.
So, yeah, the kids did a great job.
Yeah,
All of the
very, very
speakers.
impressed by all of the students.
Yeah.
Everything from behavior, placement, academic accomplishments, very, very, very great group of young men and women.
All right, so again, on the agenda, the curriculum portion will be pushed off to our next meeting, which will bring us to IT, a website report.
So Michelle's been working really hard. We've been working also with the webmasters at the other schools, and one of the questions that came up were like, what's one of the real technical reasons why we are looking towards a different website? And one of the there's a few very important things, but one of the main things is there's no more support. The version that we're on for the website software is so far back that we can't just upgrade in an upgrade path that's supported or anything like that. So if we do try to do the upgrade on the software that we have a very high risk of losing everything. So that's one of the problems. Another problem is it also doesn't support the latest encryption that our browsers want us to accept. So there's lots of certificate issues, there's security issues, and people do log in and send their credentials over the website, and we want to make sure that that's as safe and secure as possible. The other thing is, with our end users, constant complaints on how things are not working properly. So on the community side, as well as our webmaster side, updating calendar events, also viewing certain things because of older software on newer browsers just clashing. So that's why we reached out and decided to go with a vendor they can keep everything upgraded while we can just do updates, and we also get constant ongoing support with it. But yeah, Michelle's been working very hard on communicating with them, and when we migrate to this new side, we'll have a lot more options for the teachers. We'll have a lot more options for giving the community more information in a more timely manner, and also give more of the flavor of what Litchfield really has to offer versus what we're seeing right now on the website.
And you have a time frame of when this will occur?
Right now, we're in the middle of negotiation, but we're looking at either potentially at the start of the school year, or maybe the start of October, depending on how much training we can get with our webmasters between then and now. And then everything will be in beta before we go live, so you can see it, and everybody can test it and train on it.
I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think anyone who's gone onto our website right now, try to search for something or find anything is not the easiest thing to do.
Right, yeah.
There's not a lot of
difficult.
information on there either to begin with. It's, like you said, you can't add to it, and it's old.
Yeah, it's old, and the school sites, it's just cumbersome for anybody to really go through it, and cumbersome on the other end too for us to put any information on it. There's lots of clicks. There's lots of things that can go wrong, that do go wrong on a daily basis when they're upgrading them and updating the information. So
We actually have a presentation for you if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
A new
So-
way to present.
right, so while we were doing the website and getting it ready, talking with the different vendors and whatnot, Michelle was experimenting and giving them templates, and she came up with this really nice logo to potentially put on the website, and we really liked it a lot, and it's got a saying in there and everything too, and it's on the new whiteboard that we put up between facilities and IT to be able to show more and more of these presentations when people come in.
Consistent with the goals of the district
Yeah.
is to be the best. So expecting success is what we want our students to do. So we're gonna do this from here. Slideshow view, I don't know if I'll try to talk a little louder for you. So we put together this presentation to show you what we've learned and what we've been doing. Project overview is to develop the new website to be consistent with the school board goals, implement a responsive, intuitive, clean, up-to-date website with user-friendly navigation, effortless and smooth back-end editing and community engagement, and available support, and provide consistency of website development across the district and increase community involvement. We've chosen the vendor, eSchoolView. We're ready to move forward with development. We've researched and reviewed client websites, as Jason has said. We've chosen elements for the web design, completed the design questionnaire and forwarded it to the vendor. We've created a draft example of the web page layout with a color scheme and a sample logo. And if we get the go-ahead, the project is on track with the established timeline. And we do understand the board gave us consensus to move forward in May, but we wanted to bring forth a little more information tonight. There have been no issues at this time, and hopefully there won't be in the future when we go forward.
I don't know which one's the superintendent and which one's the board chair.
Actually, think that was the superintendent and the mascot.
That'd be appropriate, given what I like to do.
The deliverables, of course, the design questionnaire has already been delivered to the vendor. The agreement proposal has to be signed. There is a one-time design and server setup fee of $1,950. The hosting and maintenance and support fee is $3,000 per year. The total cost for 1 year is $4,950. The annual cost year 2 and beyond is $3,000 per year. It is a 5-year contract. Approval of the content design consists of applying the revisions and what we give to the developers. Weeks 1 through 5 will consist of site development, review features, reviewing the features, providing feedback to the developer. Weeks 6 through 12 will consist of beta, site testing, staff training, and finally the launch. The timeline we were hoping for was around September 6th, but as Mr. Pelletier said, based on, subject to training, some webmasters, could be as a little bit delayed for October 1st, which really wouldn't be a bad thing. We could get more people trained, it would really actually help out. So looking ahead, again, we'd like to get the proposal agreement all signed and sent in. The questionnaire has been delivered to the vendors. So what we have to do on our end is clean up the old website data prior to the data migration by the vendor. They will be doing all the migration. The project manager will work closely with us through the data migration and through the beta testing prior to the launch. We're going to set up training with the vendor for the website administrators and the webmasters. And of course, everything, this project depends on a lot of different little variables, like the vendor, the funding, and the data migration, the beta testing and training, and finally the design deliverables, which we're sure will be right on target. This is our sample webpage. We just kind of took little bits and pieces of some of their client sites and decided what we liked. And we don't want a page that you have to scroll constantly way down to the bottom of. This is just a sample, so it doesn't mean it's going to look exactly like that with all the little tabs. But we really actually liked the Twitter feed and the bunch of tabs on the side next to the Twitter feed that are instant access to certain areas of our website.
Does that get any clearer, or is that just the way it is?
I think that's just the,
That's as clear as we get?
yeah, I think that's just the PDF picture that we had to, I had to import in there. The master calendar below the Twitter feed incorporates all the school's events. It'll be, I believe, Jason, will be run by Google Calendar?
Yeah, so how that'll work is we'll have a Google Calendar that the administration at each building will add the events in, and it'll be a live update. And also, people will be able to subscribe to those calendars. So if you want to have them on your phone, have live access to them, it'll update on a frequent basis. So you can constantly have that information on your mobile device, or you can just go here and see that. And it's a lot more automated.
So if you go to a certain date, you can get all 3 schools' information at once?
If you subscribe to all 3, or you could just come to this website and see, the week in review or the.
It'll give you all
top
3
three.
schools in one snapshot.
Right. Yep.
Excellent. Can you also separate it so it only gives you 1 school?
You could.
You can filter, yes. You can filter, well, I'll show you that as we get.
Well, no, I'm thinking, I have kids in 3 schools.
I know. So you can filter, it'll be all color-coded. If you look below the calendar, there's a menu with all these little icons. Now, those are just samples that we pulled in, but I've already started working with icons we really want. So we're going to send that to the project manager when we start working with them, the design team. It's really nice because it's easy navigation.
Mhm.
And people, don't have to go searching on the website, where can I find this? It's right there, bang, you're in, you're done. We thought that putting the addresses of all, the phone numbers of all 3 schools would be really wise, since people are constantly calling the district office, thinking that that's where they're calling to call their kids out sick or dismissed or whatever. So that's just a kind of basic design. And you'll notice in the picture, there's a little box that says, I want to. And I pulled that off of a web page, one of the client web pages, because it kind of grabbed my attention. And Jason agreed that it would be a really nice feature to have when you want a quick link, quick site navigation. Somebody just wants to register a child, somebody just wants to find a policy, whatever whatever we decide is the most important thing we want to put out there. And each school will have something different for what people want to find out about them. The content management system is very easy to use. It offers maximum flexibility. There's endless opportunities for customization. The control panel is right there at your fingertips. It couldn't be any easier. The text editor is very, very friendly to use, and the photo upload is very easy. There's also, if you notice at the bottom, that would be on the bottom of the website. It's a quick edit login for front-end users, like teachers or administrators who want to put something out there but not have to go through the back end. Or maybe might want to change something that's been posted on the website because their webmaster might not be in, or it's just quicker to do that. And it's a really quick front-end editing. It's a really nice little feature. The responsive mobile site sizes the website to fit the screens of smartphones and tablets, and it includes a free school mobile app. eSchoolView sites are preferred by Google. They are user-friendly, and the mobile site is user-friendly, and it's a better way to engage the community. And the app provides quick access to school district information, and as we know nowadays, people are kind of glued to their phones, so it comes in really handy. The master calendar shows you a website view of what someone would see if they clicked on all the events for that week or month. As you can see, they're color-coded. I'm sorry it's not as clear as I wanted it. It is color-coded. You can filter what you want to pull out of that calendar, and you can even pull up event details when you click on an event. And it's a lot better than what we have now, because what we have now, it takes you a couple of clicks to get in there and actually find out what it looks like. Communication with different groups would be based on subscriptions. If they would like to have communication by electronic newsletter, or they want to keep in touch with us through Blackboard or whatever, they can always submit something into us and we can put them on our list, or just upload it right into the software that we have. It is very friendly with Infinite Campus as well. A lot of student information systems it's pretty compatible with. Teacher pages are very easy to use. They give you a template with that, and they can list classes. They can have the Twitter feed on their page. They can also use surveys to survey students and parents. They can list their objectives, assignments, and quizzes. Students can take a quiz, and if they pass the quiz, they'll be directed automatically to the next quiz. But they do have to log in to take the quizzes. School pages, I just put this up here to show you the different kinds of vibrant school pages that there are. There's just quite a few. They can be customized anyway, by any color. So our schools have their colors, so their template will be customized in their colors. And last but not least, eSchoolView offers unlimited storage space, unlimited support, and assistance for anyone in the school district who has a question, by phone, by email, by help center, or by one-click tech support. There's 2 primary data centers for load balancing and traffic, and a standby disaster recovery site. The web hosting includes redundant firewalls, active distributed denial of service protection, which I'll let Jason explain, and threat monitoring, and regular system updates every 90 days, and integration with a variety of student information systems. And if you wanted to see a sample of their websites, we could pull them up, but it's up to you how much time you'd like to spend. You can pick one.
Yeah, you should have had something at the end go, ta-da.
That's what
I could have added that for
I was
it.
supposed to do.
I could have added, you didn't ask me. I could have.
I already actually looked at a couple of them. I went to their website.
I did supply you with
Yeah.
all this, some of this information, and I think I gave you guys the websites as well, so.
Yeah, we tested a lot of those on tablets, on phones, on the website and things like that, and we found a lot of things that we really liked and things that we were like, okay, when we're ready to do it, we don't want to do it this way because we don't like exactly how this shows up or whatnot. So that list was a very good help on what to do, what we want to do, what we like, what we don't like.
So Michelle, if you go back a couple slides ago, you talked about quizzes. So students can take a quiz.
If a teacher puts quizzes on their class page, on their teacher page, it's this web, I have to talk to the vendor a little more about it, or the developer, I should say. We were talking about it, and if they set it up, there's a module in there that they can go to that section when they're building their page and click on their options, what they want to put on their page, quizzes being one of them. They upload the quizzes, and if a student takes a quiz, they have to log in, they have to register and log in to that teacher page for the quiz. They take the quiz, and if they pass it, they'll find out right away, and then they automatically can take the next quiz.
So a teacher can input whatever they want on that page as far as information or direction.
Yeah,
I'm
they
just
can
thinking-
make a test bank and.
Well, I know we talked before as far as electronic blizzard bags.
That would be up to the board if you want to go with that.
I know, but is it equipped to do that? I mean, is that,
I can ask. I don't see why not. I mean, the teacher can put their whole syllabus up there. So, I mean, if they can have as much information, storage is unlimited.
that's what we talked about, as far as having an avenue where teachers could go ahead and you know, input what would be considered a blizzard bag, but, you know, current day assignments, right there.
I think it's worth looking through. I think probably as a district, we should probably have a group of teachers look at like all the options and like maybe pick one. Like, do we want to use Google Sites? Do we want to use this? Do we want to use that? Is there another tool? I don't know. That way at least it's consistent across all the different teachers and schools.
Right.
But it's nice that the opportunity is there in this.
And this is compatible with Google Classroom, didn't he said that?
Well, it's compatible with Google. Google Classroom is kind of its own
Okay, I
entity
wasn't
type
sure.
of thing, but yeah, it's pretty friendly with that. It's friendly with the SIS system, with Infinite Campus and other things, to upload the student information and everything like that. But yeah, when we were watching the quiz module, it was great for, you know, studying, pop quizzes, things along those lines.
So the only thing I would ask the board is this is a 5-year contract that we would be entering into, and I just want to make sure the board is comfortable with that. And we would have to appropriate the upfront money for the first year, which I believe was $4,900.
Right.
And then a $3,000 annual contract from that point on. You can withdraw from this or not?
You can, I talked to the vendor, and you can actually opt for a 3-year contract, but what happens is the setup, the upfront, it makes the payments higher.
Right.
The contract ends up being higher, and if you want to go with let's say what they call a 90-day, I have it written down, a 90-day kind of good faith opt-out kind of a policy, they front load the setup fee.
Yeah.
Because the setup fee, even though they want $1,950, even the $3,000 a year has a little bit of what they're gonna, you know, if they have to change something or upgrade, that's all in there. So anything that if we decided we wanted them to do a 90-day good faith clause, they would front load that design fee, and then the contract fee would be a little bit less for the remaining years.
So if we go 5 years, and I'm not concerned, $3,000 to host and support the website's nothing, but what I'd be concerned with is, like, can we upgrade in that 5 years? Can we do a redesign in those 5 years, or are we kind of locked into the same site for those 5 years? Just because 5 years is eternity when it comes to a website.
I believe we can customize, but I will ask him.
Okay.
I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, we can move things around any way we want. You know, once we've got that, it will be a template,
Yeah.
I can't see why we couldn't customize it if we wanted to, but that's one of the
Okay,
questions.
just worth
I will-
asking.
I will ask him that. He was actually, sent me an email today asking if there were any questions yet and wished me good luck tonight, so. He was a very nice man. But I can make a list of your questions. We can get him to answer those. And if you'd rather be on a teleconference with him, we could do that too. He's perfectly willing to do that for us.
I mean, I don't want to hold it up, because I know you guys need to move forward. Like, can you pay the design fee now and then figure out how many years you're doing it afterwards, or I guess how does that work?
If we pay him the design fee, well, the contract is a 5-year contract.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we can have it modified if the board so chooses.
I was just, I don't know, just voicing that 5 years is a long time to be stuck in one website. Is making sure there's ways that we can upgrade within it. I don't mind being stuck with them for 5 years, but within that 5-year period, can we, if 3 years from now we want to like change some of the features or upgrade or something like that, can we still do that?
And without this cost associated with that also.
For a fee.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, like, this is,
I'm sure.
But you're still talking cheap money.
this is cheap
So-
money, yeah.
Is there any cost associated with our website today?
No, because we host everything. I mean, you could say that there's a cost because we have licensing, but we're gonna have that licensing no matter what.
Yeah.
But there is that other cost as time for the end user and things like that, but there isn't any upfront cost right now. The software's antiquated, all that stuff.
I was gonna say, I'd say it's obsolete.
Yes.
Antiquated and obsolete, so.
Yes.
And that- yeah. I think that's a big thing, like you said, Derek. I mean, 5 years. is-
It's a long time.
Yeah. And I'm sure that in between there, we can do something at a cost.
One of the things that the vendor was very proud of was that they have a very high success rate for uptime, which was about 99%.
Yeah, they have multiple sites, and that load balancing is
Yeah.
if anything happened, and like Michelle said, that denial of service, that's just if, for whatever reason, if somebody wanted to take down our website, they would go and attack whoever's hosting it, and they have all the safeguards in place to help prevent that from happening.
So I'm not sure I'm exactly understanding what the board wants us to do. Do you want us to generate a 3-year versus a 5-year cost and come back to you with that? It's just going to push probably the,
That's the thing, I don't want to push it out. I would just, like, I have no problem, it's nothing for a website. I have
Agree.
no problem approving it. I would just make sure you don't lock yourselves in and that you can't upgrade for 5 years, I guess all I'm saying.
okay.
And if 3 years is only a little bit more money, or it's gonna be less money because it's less hosting, you just pay more the design fee up front. But
But the upfront cost, it sounds like, is more for a 3-year contract, so they kind of like,
because they're spreading it out, is all they're doing.
Right.
You're still paying the same amount of money if you're spreading it out.
I think worst comes to worst, after 3 years, for $3,000, if you
Just
lose
walk away.
6,000, just throw it away and
Yeah.
just start over.
Yeah.
So you want us to go forward with the 5-year contract and,
It's fine, just make sure you can upgrade and stuff like
and
that.
then just check on the upgrades and make sure there are upgrades and things like that, but we should just go forward. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you want me to check on upgrade?
And then the other piece I want to say is that the logo that was developed, now that was Michelle's idea.
Yeah.
It has not had school board input, and certainly we're looking for school board input, school board thoughts about that, and what you would like us to do. You don't have to do it right away tonight, but that is really a school board and a district-wide conversation, probably. But we just wanted to give you some idea, because I like something that's kind of neat and clean and captures a few things and not many words. So I really think that's what people can catch on to. So please take a look at that, give us some feedback on that, and let us know where you think we should go.
And also, I guess, I do like the logo. The first thing that came to mind is, I mean, this becomes, if that is our slogan, that becomes our brand, that becomes our name, that becomes our
Absolutely.
vision. So we want to make sure we're all, like, the district is behind it, so I'd even bounce it off people outside of this room. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk to like
Yep.
Judy, not Judy, Julie,
Yep.
talk to the principals and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, and I think if you have a simple thing that brands you, it's, and if it really captures who we are, I think that it's a really good thing for
Yes.
Litchfield. But if it's not capturing exactly who we are, it's obviously not a very good thing.
Yeah.
So, we will bounce that off a bunch of people and try to get some feedback and see if we have some suggestions, and I'm sure we will.
And if there's anybody at home watching right now, same thing.
Absolutely.
Please let us know. Great. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Again, I just want to thank Jason and Michelle for really good work, and I know Michelle has really taken this to heart and really put a lot of time and effort into it, and I do appreciate her hard work.
That'll bring us to the business administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will take the business manager's report, the financial side of it last, if I may. Fiscal year, every year, we bring to the board a recommendation regarding school lunch program prices for the upcoming school year. And as we did last year, Director Lawrence, Food Service Director Lawrence, she goes through what is called a weighted average price calculator, which looks at cash. Yeah, it's a dog and pony show tonight, if you haven't got that yet. I don't have a slide for this, so. The school lunch price equity worksheet basically looks at paid meals versus state and federal reimbursed meals, and it has to be a particular,
Is that on this?
no.
Okay.
Um,
We're just doing lunch prices first?
Yes,
Okay.
my able assistant.
That's okay, that's fine.
So bottom line is, the current prices, just by summary, is at GMS, the meal price for students is $2.25, and LMS and GMS, it's $2.50, and the adult meal price is $3.40. The adult meal price, however, is not part of the weighted average price calculator that we go through, the exercise that we go through. Bottom line is that we are aligned to where we should be relative to the federal standards for for what we're receiving in our paid lunches versus our state and federal reimbursement program. So we are not recommending a student price increase for the upcoming 16-17 school year. We are recommending, however, an adult price increase from $3.40 to $3.50. The logic behind that is because they give out too many dimes.
That's because I change.
It's the change. I said, come on, Hilda, can't you come up with something other than that? She says, no, we just,
Rolls the dimes.
nobody has the, so.
They don't use cards, they use cash? They don't have cards at the
A lot of, I use, we all have student, like, we have adult accounts as like student accounts. But there's still a fair number that pay, pull out of the wallet every time. So there is, again, there's no financial logic behind it other than the fact that it's more convenient for the cashiers, and it's not a great, we were looking at some of the breakdown. We do not sell a whole lot of, we do a lot of à la carte for adults. You know, somebody will come in and buy a milk, and there's no price increase for the à la cartes. So we're able to, we purchase a lot of our product through a co-op with other school districts, and we've really received some favorable prices in areas such as milk. There's no increase. So we're able to hold the line relative to prices for next year. We would like the board to approve a 10-cent price increase for the adults.
Make a motion to approve 10-cent price increase for adults.
I can second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained.
Thank you. The second item, Mr. Chair, is Primex, who is our property and liability and our workers' comp insurance insurer. We are at the end of a 3-year program that the board approved 3 years ago for us to participate in what is called their CAP program. By way of summary, the CAP program, basically, we qualify to participate in the CAP program because of our low incidence relative to personal and liability claims, as well as our workers' comp rate meets the standards for us to participate in the CAP program. What is the CAP program? Basically, it caps our rate increase from the previous year to a percentage. It is a 3-year agreement that we signed with Primex, so basically we're locking ourselves in to stay with Primex over the next 3-year period. They are capping. We are coming out of a 3-year period. We're in the third and final year, and it's been capped at 8%. I went back and looked at the rate increases. It's averaged around 6.5%, so it cannot exceed the 8% over the past 3 years, but it's been around on an average over the 3, around 6.5%. So Primex is providing us an opportunity to extend our CAP program for an additional 3 years. The cap for each of those 3 years will be 9%, however. So the cap is a little bit higher, and their cap is based not necessarily on our experience, because it is a risk pool insurance program that we participate in. So they're basically based on that, what they're planning to experience over those that are in the CAP program. And not all districts are in the CAP program. We are, as what they refer to as a Prime 3 customer of theirs. So we're able to participate in the CAP program. Obviously, I'd highly recommend, because Primex has been nothing but a very good insurer partner with the district over the years. So it makes sense if we can cap the exposure to lock in at a no greater than 9% for each year over the next 3 years.
Are there different levels of groups that join CAP, or is it just everyone in the same pool?
Again, you have to meet certain eligibility.
Okay.
And it relates to your claims over the past. So I think it was about 3 years ago when they rolled the program out, we're good in the eyes, if you will, of the insurer, because our liability, our injury claims, is Michelle will tell you, she participates on the Joint Management Loss Committee, are very low, mostly slips and falls within the district and primarily in the area of food service. And our liability, very low incidence of liability. So they take all of those clients that they have that meet the eligibility and pull them together in this CAP program. So again, Mr. Chair, what this would require, because it is a 3-year contract, is the approval, the resolution of the motion to approve the 3-year contract with Primex, and to authorize the board chair to sign on behalf of the district as well. They do require the BA signature as well as the board chair.
Is there any, just out of curiosity, are there other insurance companies out there that's worth getting bids from, or is this kind of Primex kind of the one?
I mean, there are, and some school districts have entertained that, but they, I would say, most are with Primex. Because it is a risk pool, you're able to limit, you're able to participate, similar to Health Trust with the health insurance side of it. It's based on claims, and they're geared towards municipalities and school districts, so they have proven to be, again, I've dealt with Primex now for over 6 years, and have had no issues at all with them.
Make a motion to approve the 3-year contract with Primex.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have the document, if you would be so kind as to sign. Now it's time for my little quick dog and pony show, and I will make it quick.
27 slides.
I did.
Yeah, 27
No,
slides.
there's only, no. And I use the pen. I will like to say to the board that this is a multi-purpose room. I know you probably think that's only the school board here, but we do have classes do utilize this room as well, and the after-school homework club. So the installation of, this is the technology, as you recall, approximately 2 years ago, we started to, actually probably less than that, because I think it was Jason's recommendation that we go with the projector and the smart board screen versus bringing in the smart board, and the cost of it is. So Jason was kind enough, and his staff and the custodial staff, we put pressure on him because we wanted to show you tonight, not only to make the presentations this way, but also to show you some of the technology, obviously, that's been in use in the classroom. And Michelle and I, we had a slow start to this, my partner down there, and getting this, the two of us. I was even told by Jason how to hold the pen. But what I wanted to do today is to show you a little presentation that I practiced with the administrative team, leadership team today.
How's that?
I'm using pen.
Okay,
Can I tell them?
you can.
Michelle and I were in the room for about 20 minutes, and we couldn't figure out how to use this thing to save our lives. We were, and Michelle was far more technically capable than I. And we finally had to call Jason, call IT. And Jason's first comment to us, did you turn the projector on?
I was going to ask you to turn
We
it
didn't
on.
turn it on. I'll say we, Michelle.
That's okay.
So what I thought I would do is, I know there's been a lot of confusion, and one of the questions that I'm asked, and I go through this, and I've been doing this for 6 years now as a BA. After 25 years of financial, private sector financial, fund accounting is very difficult, very challenging, so the anticipation that someone here in a presentation will understand it, but I'm hoping that this presentation will make a difference a little bit in your understanding between what the unassigned fund balance is, which is something that everybody will ask around April, because they want to start focusing on this unassigned fund balance, and versus what was the available balance. And I hopefully will draw some distinction between the two.
You gotta turn the pen on.
Huh?
You gotta
Pen on?
use the
I thought it was already
side
on.
menu.
Oh, pen, the pen.
Oh, no, we gotta, Michelle. And this is just kind of, I put this in here, because I want to see what the resolution looked like. And I'll let you read that yourself. But again, it's the fund balance versus the budget balance. Okay, partner. The unassigned fund balance, and again, we're always asked in April, what are you projecting to be the unassigned fund balance? And we ran this through the administrative team. I've done the same similar presentation with the administrators, and I used a similar back in my previous position as well. A calculation, and this is done on a monthly basis by the finance department. We look at total revenue to date for the district. So this is done monthly. At the end of the month, I do the calculation, and we sit down and we make sure that we're meeting all the numbers that we need to meet. So if you think of this, the fund balance, as your checkbook. Every year we start July 1st with a balance in our checkbook. And that's called the opening fund balance. And then we bring in local revenue, state revenue, and federal revenue. And that goes to support all the total expenditures of salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies, property, and other. And then that comes down to, at the end of the fiscal year, is our fund balance, or what's left in our checkbook. And some of that money, as you can see, there's 4 categories of that, and that's in the financial auditor's report. Some of it's restricted as to what we can do with it. In the general fund, we do not have any restrictions. Then we have some committed, and that in the general fund would go to your capital accounts. And we have a building, we have special services, and now we have a IT capital account. Assigned, that would be at the end of the year, we ask the board to encumber money for the upcoming year that we can spend in the current year budget. And then the unassigned, which goes to offset, and that's what we talk about, to offset the taxes. Today, going through the calculation year to date, so from July 1 of last year to current, June 20th, I cut it off. We have total revenue and credits of $20,032,053. We've spent out $19,861,892.
No,
No.
61,000.
I'm sorry, $19,861,892.
$892.
Yeah, dollars, and no cents. Which leaves our fund balance, or in our checkbook, right now, $170,161. And I'm gonna pause. I'm not looking at the superintendent because he drilled me today on this. So that is the fund balance. That is the general fund balance, meaning what did we start with, which is our, if you recall last year, and I'll show, Michelle, maybe the next. Yep, thank you. You can go past that one. So the calculation I go through each month is I look at, this will never change. This was our opening fund balance. If you recall last year, we said, well, how much, what was our fund balance? So our fund balance last year was $518,594. That was our, if you will, the opening balance of the fund. So what that does in effect from the tax base is that what we need to fund our budget will be less, will be that amount less the unassigned fund balance. Okay, so that's kind of like the opening amount of your checkbook. Then what I do at the end of each month is I look at what have we got year to date for our local revenue. Primarily, what is local revenue? That's your local taxes. That's your tax that you folks pay as residents of the town. on your local tax, local educational tax, and your state educational tax. Money from the state, that's your grant money, that your adequacy aid coming in, catastrophic aid coming in as well. Federal, basically that's your Medicaid reimbursement that we get through special services. So we get a total revenue figure of year-to-date of $19,513,459. Obviously from that, like our checkbooks at home, we start with a balance, we put money in, and we pay out a whole lot of money. And again, salaries, benefits, purchase services, you can see the numbers there. So we have paid out of our cash flow, $19,861,892. This is where it gets a little fuzzy. So what happened is, based on our cash flow, we had negative $348,433, but that gets deducted from our opening balance, because this is just basically looking at cash flow, what we actually take in, what we actually pay out. Once we deduct the difference, we get our fund balance of 170, 160.
Just out of curiosity, why wouldn't your opening balance be included in your revenue?
Because I'm reconciling it, this is that cash flow, it can. I mean, we could take all this and just make one column out of it. But I reconcile cash flow to make sure when I go in, that all the cash flow that I receive receipts for, that's reconciled back. It's just an accounting, the way that we do it. And the auditors will do it that way as well. Does that help? And this is just a pie chart year-to-date. As you can see, our benefits, payroll, salaries and benefits is a little bit higher. We're actually around 77%, 76%. And that's, we've had some extraordinary one-time expenditures that have hit the salary line, so that drove up. Typically, that's around 64%. But as you can see, excuse me, purchase services and our other areas of the chart, they've remained pretty consistent with the overall cost to run the school district. Food service, just quick overview of that. We do the same thing with food service. We look at total revenue. Same thing, we have an opening fund balance in food service. We bring in local revenue, state reimbursements on our free and reduced lunch program. Again, the same expenditures coming out of food service fund. The only exception and the difference, major difference between food service and general fund, any ending balance that we have in the food service fund is called a restricted, meaning it does not go back as a credit to the taxpayers in the tax calculation, because we retain, if you will. If this were a for-profit business or a running business, that would be our capital that would roll over. Food service as of June 20th, we have total revenue and credit of retained restricted fund balance of $618,468. We've spent out $524,152, and we have a fund balance of $94,316. And again, I won't go through all this, but this is just a calculation. We started with a restricted fund balance. Again, that stays in the food service fund. It rolls every year from one year to the next. 112,920 income expense. We've had, again, in food service, we've had a couple of extraordinary expenses this year. We had to replace the steamer, equipment steamer in the high school. So we've had some out of budget, if you will, extraordinary expenses there. What I'm really reporting, starting in April to you to the end of June, and what you heard tonight, special services they've underspent their budget. We hear a lot about what's the fund balance. Well, it's not really the fund balance, it's the budget balance that I'm giving you. So when we report out that special ed has underspent their budget, or what's their balance, they're not necessarily returning all of those dollars in the fund balance. Does that make sense? Maybe the next slide, Michelle will. So here's the breakout for the general fund, regular education, special services, and district-wide, and I'm gonna work right to left on the columns. So district-wide, we had a total budget of $20,099,167. Today, we have a balance in the general fund, or the underspend of the budget, of $276,639, or 1.4% of the total appropriation. What does that mean? That means that that's not money either actually spent or encumbered today.
So that's unassigned? Or is that different?
That is just a budget balance, that's just available,
Okay.
okay? It's kind of like that first slide I showed you with the cartoon, it's kind of like a budget versus how much we really have. And this is, when I report these numbers to you each month, I'm really showing you what the budget balance is, not necessarily the general fund balance.
Why is that number different than the first fund balance of 170?
Yeah. Hold that question.
Okay.
Because I'm going to show you in a second.
Okay.
Okay? So in other words, district-wide, we're 276 underspent in the budget.
Yeah,
Okay, hold that thought.
okay.
Don't miss the midnight show. Special services right now, their total appropriation, or the total budget and total services, 4.3 million. We have a balance of 290,482, or 6.7 of their chunk, if you will, of the total budget pie.
Uh-huh.
And then regular ed, 15,731, 942, which is 78% of the budget. And we have a negative balance of 13,843, which is 0.1% more than we should have spent. Michelle, the next slide. Just the reason I'm not overly concerned with that, and we still have approximately 6 weeks to go to close out the fiscal year. We have still, what, 2 weeks remaining, if you give or take. In June and July, we're still processing. So we have about 6 weeks before we close out. We have a balance right now of $730,000 encumbered money. And if you saw tonight in the manifest for just the P card, the BMO, that was over 200,000 right there.
Mm-hmm.
We have another payroll to process, so that will impact there, but give you some idea of how much money we still have encumbered. That's a big chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably much more than we probably should, given that we're so close to the end of the fiscal year. And we're still processing Medicaid payments. That's a reimbursement that we receive from services being offered through IEP Special Services. So we still get some time to recover some additional revenue, as well as what we'll do is, what happens is, with this encumbered, all of this money won't be spent out. We won't spend all of the $731,000. So what will happen is, on an accounting basis, we'll release that money, and that will drop to your balance. Michelle, if you could just show.
So there won't really be an overspend of
Oh,
$13,000.
is that the end? Do you want me to go back to a different slide?
No. No, let me explain why there's a difference. So in other words, on special services,
Yeah.
you see one figure of the underspend of their budget,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but yet the unassigned fund balance for the general fund is approximately $100,000 less. That's because we've received approximately $100,000 less in revenue than we had projected.
Okay.
So the fund balance, if you will, hasn't received all the money we thought, while the budget balance is an underspend of 200-some-odd thousand in special education.
With the revenue.
It's the revenue. We've received less in our Cat 8, and you've heard that for the 3 years I've been here. You know, if we were to get $100, we get 7. This year we got, I think 70, a little over 72%.
Is this the first year that's happened recently? Where we had less? Okay.
No.
Because I guess, or maybe it's just never been explained to us this way before, but.
We always get less. BAs will always be extremely conservative in their revenue projections.
Yeah.
You know, like, there are certain areas that you just know, you hit them right to the
Yeah.
dollar. But then there are others, like Cat A, we're always projecting low because when we're doing budget development on revenue, we have no idea. I have a number from the Special Services Department, what we put in for claims, because it's those claims that we receive are from previous school year. So, and that's why the budget underspend won't necessarily match to the general fund balance at the end of the year, because it's a calculation of revenue and expenditures. So right now, we're tracking about $100 and some odd thousand less than projected from our anticipated. And that's why we do a monthly, Derek,
Yeah.
monthly, not, a BA never wants to be in a position where our revenues aren't matching our, so in other words, if they were aggressive in putting out a figure for projected revenue and it falls short, in school districts have had to do is they have to make an adjustment in their appropriations, because you're not, even though you've been appropriated 20 million, you're not gonna get 20 million in the kitty, if you will, in your checkbook.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
So bottom line is that we're tracking right where we thought we would be. We've had some extraordinary expenses in payroll, in the salary and benefit area, and we've had some expenditures in the buildings and grounds too. If you recall, we replaced the boiler here. So we've had some expenses that were unanticipated.
So the numbers would hold true right now, what you're saying about Cat aid and what you receive for revenue. At the end of the year, if everything held the way it was, then special ed would end up with about 170,000 rather than 270,000. They would go back.
Special ed's gonna underspend their budget by around $270,000.
They're gonna spend their budget, correct?
Underspend their budget.
How much will they return to the town? If Cat aid revenue remains the same, 100,000 less, it'd be 100,000 less, correct?
If I were to silo all the income and all the expenses for special services, I can calculate that out. We don't do that. So all the revenue coming in, whether it's Cat aid or all goes into the general fund. It
Right.
doesn't get split out for special services.
But right now, it looks like special services has about $280,000.
Right, but you could say between catastrophic aid and Medicaid reimbursement, both directly related to special services, we're gonna fall about $100 and some odd thousand short, and that's impacting that general fund available balance.
Right, but what I'm saying is, so special ed is not giving back the bigger chunk than what it looks like right now.
The impact on the general fund balance at the end does not always equate to the underspend of the budget, correct?
Yeah.
I just said just the same thing, just a little bit different.
Okay.
So that's why you can't always go grab that number of the underspend and say, well, that's what's gonna be returned special ed. No. It's gotta be calculated in the computation of the general fund of starting balance, all the revenue, all the expenses, and what's left.
Yeah, I think,
Sometimes you get close.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of times too, we've been lucky maybe, and we've gotten actually more revenue than expected. Because it was the reimbursement we got
Yes.
from whatever the insurance
We
company
got
was.
we got the tax holiday
Yeah.
from Health Trust. We had, I think I projected like 12 grand and we had like $100-something thousand.
Yeah.
But I know it's gonna make up when we get a win like that, it's gonna cover
Yeah.
the Cat aid, which the state hasn't fully funded the catastrophic aid to the school districts in probably 4 years straight now. And that percentage of what they are funding continues to go down, unfortunately. That help?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be long-winded, but.
That's fine.
And next time I'll have my pen. There's a way he showed us that, so. Again, I hope this helped to draw the distinction between the general fund balance, unassigned balance, and what the budget balance is. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Consideration, and the superintendent too. Thank you. Superintendent was great, was a great help today, prepping for tonight's presentation.
I think the board's gonna be nice too for presentations like this.
Yeah, it's great. It's better than like always trying to like crank our.
Exactly. And hopefully soon it'll be tied in with cable TV also, so that people at home.
It was
They
on
had it
there.
on, like, you could see it.
You could-
Right, but it's gonna be tied in,
So
so
it's
they won't be
clear.
seeing it,
They
it's just the
have to
board.
run, in fact, I overheard Jason.
Just run a cable.
said that they will run the cables. They have the equipment in there that they just plug it in. So
Yep.
hopefully next meeting we'll have it all tied in direct.
The next thing on our agenda is committee report, but, and it ties in with this, Frank, is the question I have, because the budget committee will be inquiring tomorrow.
Yes.
Where we stand right now as far as the committee for the buildings, the new building committee.
Right.
Do we have a full committee group?
We are waiting on one representative from the middle school, Michelle.
Yes.
And If we get that or not, we will be sending out an email to all those that have submitted their name and
Yep.
has been presented to the board. We'll let them know what we're looking at from a timeline to meet over the summer relative to review of the proposals for the school building assessment. So that will go out in the next 2 weeks.
So when do you, right now, anticipate meeting in July? Do you have a date?
We don't, I was gonna,
Idea?
that's the email, basically, is gonna poll everybody to see when is it.
Sometime in July?
Sometime July or early August would be, because again, we'll have the quotes in for the building assessment at the end of this month, the
Yep.
28th, Michelle, I think, is the date?
30th.
The 30th
Of this month?
of this month, so I'd like to get them in the hands of the committee ASAP, so that they have an opportunity to review and then make the recommendation back to the board. Ideally, it would be the July meeting.
So the committee
I
is,
think that might be a
the
little
committee will
too
make the
aggressive.
recommendation from the bids? Is that what you said?
They're gonna make, yeah, we're gonna ask your subcommittee of the buildings, to make a recommendation to the full board for you to accept which quote and what, specifically which company, so that then we can contract with them in August and get that going. We did, just a quick update, Mr. Chair, we did have a bidders meeting. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, we had a mandatory bidders meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had six.
We had 7.
Seven, well, we had seven, one dropped out.
Okay.
Just from a time commitment, they were unable to. So we do have six, we anticipate 6 bids coming in on that.
So July, the committee will recommend which bid to take.
Correct, and you will see all the bids, and we will deliver a bid package to you of all.
Then they'll go out in August. When do you anticipate then you would have a report that the committee would be looking at?
We'd have to work through that with the company to see, we would, once we select the vendor,
Yep.
we would meet with them to establish a timeline, and it really is going to be driven by them as to how quickly they can get in the buildings and do the assessments, and that's,
So the
so we get that
So it'll be a
timeline,
while then before the committee will start working with
the
their
actual
report.
results of the assessment, correct. It could, I have been through this before, it can take 3-4 months
Okay.
for them to collect all the data that they need, and then to do a compilation of it and get it into a report form. And what we would ask them to do, and this is what we'll work through with them, Mr. Chair, is to give us a draft report of that first, so that you, as well as the committee, can review that to make sure it's acceptable to them before we accept the final
Yeah.
report.
In our last meeting that you didn't attend, I voiced concern, well, it was a change, because the Budget Committee was concerned putting a
Right.
member from the Budget Committee on there.
Right.
They would then vote on, like, possible expenditures down the road. And my understanding now on the description of the committee, that there is not a Budget Committee member
That's
that
correct.
needs to be assigned to the committee.
That's correct. And we did address that with the community member, who also happens to be a member of the Budget Committee. And that was not problematic in the end for them.
Because that person would not be representing the Budget Committee,
They
but
were representing
he's
as
just on
a
the committee.
citizen of the town.
I think that's a conflict of interest, I'm sorry.
I think you might have a point.
And honestly, it's a subcommittee of the subcommittee, the building committee is a subcommittee of the school board. They can only make recommendations to the full
Yep.
board. That's the ground rules that we established.
And I'm not certain, did any other committees meet?
Are there any spouses on the committee, of budget committee members?
Wait and
or
see, I
anything like that?
haven't seen a listing.
Okay, just want to make sure.
That we're aware of, no.
Grandchildren, parents, cousins?
Blood test.
So I take it no other committees have met, I don't think, at this time, right?
No.
All right. Now, we have something we need to sign or something for the authorization, authority to sign?
Yeah, Michelle brought this to my attention. I'm going to ask Michelle just to speak to this a little bit, if you
I
could.
have a copy.
Yep.
Every year, the board takes a action to authorize the superintendent and the business administrator to sign all the district business forms, the contracts and grants on behalf of the school board for the whole year. Now, that, I heard the recording from which is how I transcribed my minutes, from the last meeting, and I know that there were some concerns that it was specific to people, but it isn't. It's specific to the position only. And it's something the board does every year because there are contracts that come in, let's say, telephone contract or a copier lease or whatever, that are time-sensitive and can't always be brought to the board. As far as hiring and teachers and administrators, that will always come to the board after the superintendent has made his recommendation. So that doesn't pertain to that. This basically pertains to business office
Contracts.
contracts and things
They're
like that.
operational contracts.
Yeah,
versus
operational.
employment contracts.
So I just wanted to clarify that because it seemed like there was some confusion at the last minute.
So it's for the year, though, right?
It's for the year,
Yeah,
So is it fiscal year 2017?
fiscal year, that's
This
right.
would be for 16, 17, July 1. Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the superintendent and business administrator to sign all Office of Business Management forms, all contracts, and all grants on behalf of the Litchfield School Board for the FY 2016-17 year.
I'll second.
Perfect.
Further discussion? Clarification, though, haven't we in the past allowed the superintendent or given the superintendent permission to do hirings
You
during the
did
summer?
at the last meeting.
Over
Yeah.
the summer.
In case they're time sensitive,
Over the
and we don't
summer.
meet for a
Right.
month or something.
Because we've had, last year we had 2 meetings each month.
Yeah.
This year we have 1. That's,
Right.
those are the years that will grant the
Right.
superintendent.
Yep.
No, I think what Michelle
Just to
stated,
clarify, this one is something we do every year.
this is different. The
This
other,
is
the
different.
motion last week was strictly for the summer months for the superintendent to have the authorization to hire people without board approval.
All right.
We
All those-
still ultimately bring those names to you, but in essence, they've already been hired
Right.
and offered a contract.
All right. So we have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of allowing the superintendent and business administrator to make decisions on contracts outside of, I guess, teachers or anything else as far as people?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Motion carries 400. Brings us to any questions on the manifest?
No.
Hearing none. Public input? Seeing none. We'll then go into non-public session, RSA 91-A:311. The dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or disciplining of such employee, or investigation of charges against him unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any persons other than a member of the body or agency itself, unless such person requests an open meeting.
Yes.
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 Yes, we're now in non-public. So this approval of draft minutes, there were none. We don't have to approve it.
We sealed them, right?
No,
Last meeting.
You sealed them,
All
yes.
right.
we'd already stated that at top.